Hello, it's Dawn. Okay, we're working on the Panga. Working on the Panga center console. Now this center console is, it's just as old as the boat. It's 20 years old. It's a good console. It's a little out of date. It's a little short. The area for the electronics is a little small for modern day electronics. It's got holes from multiple gauges throughout the years. It had a radio in it, had some other switch panel here. I think this is where the throttle box is, which, whatever. All this has got to be filled because, whatever my steering bezel is today is probably different from that. And God forbid it be a 1/16 of an inch bigger, then it's just a pain in the butt. So I'm filling all these holes. And I got scraps of Kusa that I've kept from different various things, not a pilot, but I got enough where I can fill all these holes because this console is made with 3/4 Kusa. It's good construction. So like where this gauge hole is, I'll take my hole saw and I'll cut a hole saw to that. You can see where I just did one yesterday in the top of the boat, and I'll fill all those, plug them with Kusa, put all that in with epoxy rosin. It'll be solid, won't go anywhere. So that's where we're at. Just getting things cleaned up. I just sanded out the inside of this where the glass is going to go to the inside. I'm going to get it all taped off, get all these plugs made first, and then we can start wetting them out and putting them in with glass with thickened epoxy around each one of these. So, for instance, if this 2 inches hole, we'll have an 1 3/4 plug. We'll put it in there with thickened epoxy around it, and everything will be solid as can be when I'm done. So anyways, I got a little more cleanup to do, and I'll cut out all these little pieces. That's boring and nothing exciting, but I'll get back to you when I start putting this back together. Okay, took care of all the boring stuff while you were taking a break. So pretty simple here. I just scraps of Kusa. There's a small plug, and don't worry about if this stuff don't fit perfect because it's all going to be fiberglassed in. You want the extra fiberglass around it. A little bigger plug, and as we go on, there's a little bigger one for the steering. This is where there was a radio. We got a plug in there. This used to be a switch panel, and here was the one for the throttle box that was there. So this is all going to be filled in solid. This is all 3/4 inch Kusa. This is all 3/4 inch Kusa. And so when I'm done, no matter where I put something, it's going to be true on the inside. It's going to make my life a lot easier. And it's a whole lot easier what I'm doing than sitting here and layering fiberglass to work up this 3/4 of an inch. That'd be crazy. And this will be just plenty strong, especially once it's epoxied in place. All right. Okay, all taped up, ready to roll over and come from the inside. One thing I forgot to mention, it's kind of important. All these holes, for instance, if this was holes and I want to do what I've done from the inside, I've beveled the outside edges of all those holes. And just because I want the fiberglass to go in, I want this resin to come around. It'll lock everything into place. It'll be, can't go forward, can't go backwards, if that makes sense. Plus I got, all this old yucky fiberglass. It'll make it all clean. It'll make it nice. Whenever you're using tape for a backing like this, you don't want everything pushing out on you. I've taped it and I've went back the other way. So everything's good and solid here, even though I only got little pieces in here. Last thing you want is it all pushing out 1/8 of an inch on this side when you got to do a ton of sanding. Okay, I've got my thickened epoxy here. It's not real thick. I just mixed some milled fibers in with it. Milled fibers will thicken it up some. It'll make it very strong. Not that this has got to be all so strong, but I don't want any of this stuff to give out on me. So I'm just going to wet it out down there around the edges and all first. I'm going to drop it. You can see that one. I had to shape it a little bit so it fits right in there. Just like so. And then, around the edges, let it all run in there. That way there won't be any voids. When we come back and put cloth over this whole area, it'll really just strengthen it up fantastic and make it like new again. It pays to take the time to get all this stuff fit beforehand. See, that'll start to seep in there. As we go from one to the other, we'll just work back and forth. As it seeps out, we'll go to the next one, back and forth to the next one. The epoxy I'm using right now is the 5-to-1 epoxy. And I don't have a lot of time with this stuff. I got about 10 minutes. So I gotta go. I'm getting a lot of the rounded edges in there. I'll drop that one in. And same thing, we'll start letting it run in around the edges. And working out of there now. I'll kind of scoop my plug to the other side and work it in the other way. I got these holes where the bolts used to go through for the steering. I'll just let that run down in there. That's all taped from the other side. All this stuff, you know, it's not rocket science. You just have to take the time, work with it, you know, and it's fiberglass. You know, at the end of the day, if you mess up, you can grind it out and do it again. You know, I look back, oh, shoot, I've been doing this a long time. 30 years, 40 years plus. You know, some of the stuff I did a long time ago wasn't so great, but I'll bet you it's still together today. This stuff is a lot stronger than you think. That one looks a little light on that side. There we go. Well, I just made it. Yeah, a little bit of luck there. I'll take luck. Yeah, no problem at all with luck. Yeah, I'm a little light in here, but I'm gonna fill that up with the regular epoxy when I soak just a little bit. I ain't gonna thicken anymore. I'm just fill in with regular epoxy and put the cloth to it. All right, we'll make another batch, get some cloth, wet this out. Whew. All right, well, sorry I didn't get going with you guys again. I had to go. I was using that 5-to-1 epoxy and it goes pretty fast. I had to get it done. So anyways, you saw me putting the plugs in and filling the outsides. That worked out great with the thickened epoxy. Thickened with milled fibers. I'll have to show you sometime. It's good stuff. It makes it strong as well as it thickens epoxy. And then we just came out over the top and I had some scrap. I had 1.5 ounces of CSM cross-strand mat I put on that side, and then I put a scrap piece of 1708 on that side, so that covered it up good. And then, you know, once we flip it over, we'll polish out the other side. That's it. That's all we can do for right now. This is just going to sit here upside down and I'll deal with it tomorrow. Next step. Okay, it's tomorrow morning. We pulled the tape off and we got good fill all the way around those. As you can see, just filled in really good, and all the way across. On the inside, you can see in here, I think you can see, let's find out. That really laid out good. That's good and strong. When it's all said and done, all inside this thing is going to get scrubbed out and gel coated or painted. I'll probably do some paint inside there, you know, and make it look as good on the inside as the outside.